Hey, folks, Lindsey Houston back in the building again. No, that's not my twin on the other side. That is actually Alvin Holloway sitting here with my guy. I get the greatest job in the world, not only to interview great people, but to interview my friends and talk to them about life and really be able to bring people to the forefront who I think have a great message that can be helpful and impactful. So without any further ado, have Mr. Alvin Holloway joining us this morning. Good morning, brother. How you doing?
What's happening, Lindsey? How you doing, man?
Good, good. We looking like Bobsy twins. We representing the brands. We all Moneyballed out. You know, you represent for the prospectors. Me representing for SPS. Shout out to everybody getting it in out here, huh?
Yeah.
You got that look. The way you sitting on your couch is the way you used to sit on the bench right next to me at Moneyball games, just watching everything that was going on, man. We missed a year of it, man. Are we gonna be okay? We need to go get to a support group. How we gonna get through this, man?
Man, I might need rehab. Let me tell you, I was at Moneyball a few weeks ago, man, and I had to tell Des, like, I understand, but I'm hurt.
Yeah.
I mean, I understand. I mean, the health situation, but it was an amazing event. I mean, to be able to rub elbows, to be able to see guys on the starting and the cusp of their careers. I mean, to watch the development process or to see, you know, like people that you didn't really think that was going to show, or to see people like, I know you worked on something this summer.
Yeah.
And then you looking at the season and you was like, wow, like even how we watch Cassius grow.
Right.
Like you saw Cassius go from, I'm just here because I'm Mr. Basketball to a real official player. You like, wow.
Yeah. And Moneyball played a unique thing. I think another thing to add to that, and you brought up some good points I want to touch on before we move on, is two, if you didn't know what a pro looked like, sometimes you got a shot. For example, all due respect to the Michigan State players, but when Jabari Parker came in, and we saw how he was pushing through Cass, and you saw a different level of the game. So if you didn't understand the difference between what a pro player looks like and someone who was transitioning, you saw that. But another thing I think is very unique, and you and I particularly played a role, we're getting ready to watch the NBA fan-less season with no fans, but the role we played with the space that we were in, the energy that we had, I mean, we had the spot popping. I mean, if it was a Monopoly game, we were boardwalk. You know what I'm saying? And I appreciate your energy and how we used to go back and forth and how we kind of created a great culture, joined by the Vernon Richards of the world, the Forest Warriors, of course. And that ended up becoming like the pay-to-play VIP spot, last season. But after you and I were sitting there and part of a culture of yays, nays, boos, cheers, and all that, what do you think it's really going to be like for these athletes to start playing basketball without fans?
It's interesting because you pump off of that. I mean, you can really fill off of that. I mean, like, okay, if anybody played basketball with me at any point in time, everybody know I talk trash.
Right.
I talk trash every time. Like, I talk trash in school. I talk trash in my classroom. I talk trash, walking down the street. I'm a trash talker. So
yes, sir.
That's just me. I grew up in a barbershop. So I'm a trash talker.
Right.
And so that was just some things that is part of the game. I mean, you feed off of that. Like, a guy, sometimes you might wake a beast. A guy might just be just quiet. I was watching my nephew play. And so he's playing.
Tell everybody who your nephew is so they know.
Marcus Mormon Jr.
At East Lansing High School, yep.
East Lansing High School, point guards, going to his senior year. So right now he's playing AAU, but the AAU games are in Indiana.
Okay.
But they're like hardly no fans there. So I'm watching them on, on the cast, and I'm watching them on TV. An interesting fact, usually I'm talking to him. Usually he might be asleep a game. I'm like, hey, time to wake up. Hey, you got that lane open. You got that spot right here. Right. Oh, look at him right here. Oh, he's cake. Oh, he's food right here. So sometimes, people will say, I know your nephew gets tired of hearing you yell all the time, but his mother tell me he loves it.
Right.
Because he might see something that I might see on the court that he might not see on the court. So it's those type of things. It's the bantering back and forth. I'm glad to see the game come back, but I'm sure they're going to miss some of that aspect of the crowd.
Because you made me think about something too, because let's say there's an unknown player or a player that have a bad play. We go give them the business like, oh, come on, man. So they like, how many times do we have cats turn around and point at us or come give us that? I mean, we had the whole Michigan State conglomerate right there. So you're absolutely right when it comes down to what we can do that to feed into it. But I think that the hope is that things are going to run this course, and the hope is that, you know, in the very near future, we'll be back at Moneyball at a new venue, because the venue was going to change anyway. It'll be a new venue, but I look forward to being right on top. But, you know, the transition I made to kind of get, you know, on the headphones and doing work with Jack Ebling, you kind of transitioned and you kind of took on the commissioner role. Because you was there directing traffic and keeping everybody in order, you know, but it's a heavy load sometimes, ain't it?
It's a heavy load, man.
That's cool. So shout out to Desmond Ferguson and Moneyball. I'm glad we're able to be able to support him. But we also know that Moneyball represents the summer. And as Moneyball winds down, so does our summer. And it gets us to get ready back for the fall. And you, as an outstanding educator, you've been an administrator, so you've seen all sides of it. Give me your perspective, Alvin, on what's life going to be like returning to school, if we're actually going to return to school, and what can you say out there to parents and even young people to kind of, you know, allay some of those anxieties that may be happening with us trying to return to education post-COVID-19?
Well, the interesting thing about it, let's kind of backtrack, because I feel kind of like an athlete right now. I feel like an athlete who's been injured in the middle of the season.
Wow.
I had my season cut short. But also, too, you go into that next season where you don't know what to expect. You don't know how your body's going to adjust. You don't know how your body's going to adapt. I feel kind of like Dominique after he tore the Achilles.
Yeah, and that was the same, though.
He couldn't jump no more.
Yeah.
But he had to reform his game. He had to rethink his game and what he was going to do. So he had to be successful. So that's what kind of COVID did to me. And I got a shot of it at the end of the year, because my last day of teaching was March 13th.
Yep.
March 13th, man. So think about it. It's July 13th today. My last day teaching was like 3 months ago.
Right.
So that's crazy.
That's major, because that was the actual day. I think we were in Indianapolis at the Big Ten Conference Championship game. We had just had Rutgers coming on the floor. Michigan was on the floor warming up, and I think they were only going to allow press at the time, and that's when they shut down, and that was it. So I like what you said about reforming your game. So to the parents out there, the teachers and whatnot, let's just kind of jump ahead real quick about you and what you've been doing, not just since COVID-19, but you've always been able to develop your artistic eye as a photographer. You put some wonderful shots out there, not just basketball, when you're taking shots of your nephew in East Lansing, which is great, you know, shots of your family and things like that, but also as an artist with your painting. So how has having those other type of things in your life been able to help you get through not only COVID, but just help you just as a person developing in the world?
Well, in the beginning, when you think about it, I mean, in the beginning, well, I had everything taken away from me. You know, I couldn't teach. There were no sports. So it was like all my outlets.
Hey, you couldn't go to the gym? You couldn't go work out?
Couldn't go to the gym, couldn't work out. I had to refigure out a lot of things. I had a lot of things taken away from me. And so art was a one outlet that really I still had.
And speaking of, that's one of your pieces behind you?
It is.
Wonderful, beautiful. Do you have a name for that one?
Yeah, this is a celebration of manhood.
Celebration of Man. Awesome, awesome, awesome. We're going to make sure people know how they can watch and see and follow and support some of you with your artwork too. Well, go ahead, brother. I'm sorry. I just couldn't help
And so that was just an outlet. I mean, this is the outlet. I got a chance, so I started painting every day. And you
talked about, you did that like a job. You said you was putting in 8 hours on that.
I was. And
why
so
did you pick on that mindset for something that was a leisurely activity?
Well, because I look at it two ways. Usually I paint in the summer anyway. And painting and photography, let's be really clear about this. Painting and photography, I still consider myself a novice. And the reason why I consider myself a novice is because it's not like everyday feed. So I don't eat off of paint.
Yeah, but a novice don't have no paint matted like that when you got in the back. I'm looking at that matted. A novice get that dollar store frame.
And I did mat and frame to myself, matter of fact. But you know, I'm still building my skill on it. So it's not something that I don't eat off of it every day.
Right.
So, you know, I'm still just trying to get my skill, build my skill. But so I figured when you do that though, you gotta put time in to build a skill. Like even when I was like playing basketball, you know, I only worked on one move. You know, and to be honest with you, I only got one move.
Yeah.
Every other move is either a counter move in case that move don't work, or a variation of that
What's
move.
that move? Your jab, step back and get
Yep,
up.
you can jab, step across the leg, go to the left. Everybody in Lansing know I go to the left.
Yeah. Now, we used to talk about your knee pad game. When you went from one knee pad to two, you would tell us, I saw my brother out there. I say, brother, I remember you with knee pad, but I remember one. I don't remember two.
Hey, man, this summer I don't have no knee pads, no knee braces at all. I'm back good.
Okay, you're good.
Yeah, so it's really about building skill. I mean, but even when you talk about how we can send this to other youth and send this to everyone out there, parents and everything like that, you know, it's all about putting the time in to build a skill, you know, and your skill must be applicable to something that you're trying to do. You know, like I watch guys when they warm up, and they doing 360 between the leg layups. You're not going to do that in the game. And so what you have to do is figure out what you're going to do in the game and continue to build that skill. So I'm not taking shots or photography shots that I'm not thinking about how I'm going to take that shot and use that shot later. So every shot I'm taking is a practice shot for something else. Even with painting, I mean, I'm not painting things that I'm not going to later on practice a skill to try to sell it later on. Right. So everything I try to do, I try to make it applicable to something that I'm going to do later.
Very good. So on that same note, talk about the conversation we had. I don't think this is limited to one culture, one community, but the first thing somebody wants to say, are you getting paid for it? They want to make a monetary connection to what you're doing, or they feel that they can only justify putting in that work if there's a direct monetary benefit. You know, how do you balance that, if you have to balance it all, or what do you have to say to anyone about being able to do something that doesn't bring immediate profit or fulfillment at the time?
You know, I was listening to a
sorry about that. Go ahead.
I was listening to a song by Jazzy Jeff. Jazzy Jeff had this record that he produced in 7 days called Chasing Goosebumps.
Chasing Goosebumps, okay.
And he talks about chasing the goosebumps that he originally felt when it come to music before the music industry became so big. Mm-hmm. And he has a song on there called Die Empty.
Oh, man.
And so he says when he wants to die, he wants to just die empty. I mean, all his creative ideas, all of everything that he has, just push it out, push it out, push it out. Now, an interesting concept about that, he says some things you're going to give away for free. Some things, you know, to develop that. Now, I charge for paintings, and now my price has gone up. But there's some free work. Yeah, the bag went up.
Yeah.
But there's some things I've done back in the day that were just promo stuff. Like, you know, I'll do a cover of an album for somebody, and all you do is give me tickets to the concert. You know, I do a wall for somebody, but later on that gave me a good connection. Like sometimes I do free shots. You know, I might go out to a rally and take shots for free. I might go out to a campaign and somebody doing a fundraiser for a campaign, take shots for free. But later on, those skills that I build in that moment, they come later on.
If I could just add something, because I love everything you said. I totally support that approach, but I think the viewers also need to know that it should be your choice of if it's going to be free or not. It should be your choice if it's pro bono and not the choice of the person reaching out to you asking you to do it. You follow what I'm saying?
I perfectly agree with that, because I also believe that a person really does not value what you do until they are willing to ask you for a price.
Damn, man. Go ahead and say that one more time.
I mean, a person don't really value, because like, let's say your barber cut your hair really, really well.
Yep.
But he keep cutting it for free.
Yeah.
If you're not going to ask him how much this haircut costs, you like his haircut, but you really, really, really don't think that he has value to his haircut.
Yeah.
So a person, they really value what you do, they're going to ask you how much money this costs. Yeah.
Let me touch on that for a second. Let's try to get in the mind of the person on the other side of it, you know, because you and I, people who take basically our art and you put it out to the world for criticism, support, and also for financial support as well. Can it be that sometimes people just don't understand, or they can't, you know, or they'll go as far as you let them? I mean, they don't get that I put time into this. This final product that's on my wall was based on 8 hours a day of work. I mean, could it possibly be that they're naive to the fact, or they just may put you in a box and say, well, you don't need it or it don't matter to you. I don't know. What do you think about that?
I think it's all of the above. I mean, sometimes I think that you don't okay, well, with me with art, dealing with art, you deal with some people who are not part of art culture. They don't really know the nuances of art culture. Like, okay, a few years ago, I was doing print work. And so
print work when you say print work?
Print work is not original work. So I take a piece, I make the piece, and I print off a print. Well, you wouldn't see all of the work in the print. So they were like, well, this ain't original. I'm like, if this was original, the price would be up. So the price goes down because it's a copy, it's a print. Now you can take the print and like the print, and that's fine. But then they were like, well, who does that? I'm like, artists do it all the time. But if you don't know the background behind that, then you think I'm swindling you and trying to, get you. But when you go to, TJ Maxx, you go someplace and that's a print. That's not original work on
right.
Those places.
You wouldn't be getting it for $29.99 then.
You're not going to get it for $29.99 as original work.
Let's stay on that. How much does familiarity play a role in a negative outcome? Meaning, Alvin, you a teacher or you an administrator, or I just know you from the gym. And they have this limitation on valuing you as an artist because they're familiar with you from one other particular segment, or they just know you as somebody they just grew up with. What do you think about that?
There's a lot of diamonds in your backyard that you don't know about. I mean, we go in the sports world. I mean, we slept on Brent.
Yeah, we did. Yeah, we did.
There's a lot of players.
Referring to Brent Forbes now, starting for the San Antonio Spurs.
Yeah, I mean, a lot of times we slept on Al Horford.
True.
No one thought Al Horford was going to have the career that he had. I mean, so sometimes because people are in your backyard, you don't appreciate them for the skill that they really have because you grew up with them. There's a familiarity with them, and it's hard to break them out of that box or out that shit.
So for someone who's listening, and this may resonate with them for whatever reason, male, female, young, old, black, or white, what advice can you give that person who's dealing with people being too familiar with them and not really being supportive? Or here's the worst one. When somebody put Lil, L-I-L on the front of whatever you're doing, I saw your little painting. I saw your little pictures you took. You know what I'm saying? It's that little, it's like, no, you negate everything. So how do you help someone who's trying to break out of that? If this is someone who's has a big family and their family influences a lot and they hear these kind of words, I mean, what advice do you give that person?
You got to recreate yourself. I mean, and as you develop and as you grow, your circle probably going to get smaller. Woo! I mean, as you start to get bigger, everybody can't fit into that circle because, and a lot of times we want everybody to feed into our vision. And I think if everyone's going to feed into your vision, everyone will have the vision. Everyone can't put the blueprint together.
Come on, Al. Come on, Al.
I mean, so everybody's not, I mean, you're not going to have a construction worker sitting there putting the blueprint together.
Right.
But
I think human nature, to your point, you make an excellent point. Human nature, we're social creatures, so we want to be able to have everybody all in. But it also speaks to, you really need to be about a vision that's sustainable for you, that as your circle gets smaller, the vision fills you up. Because I think the problem is a lot of us have a vision that's strictly monetary and it's not fulfilling, because you got to be willing to work, in the rain or work when nobody's supportive, or when you step out there and you get somebody you thought was going to be your number one supporter not be supportive. You got to be like, well, the vision carries me. I'm fortunate in my role. I've been able to allow that to happen. But just as we get ready to transition, it's just, what about the person who's hurt because their family member, their friend, their significant other, their homeboy, their homegirl wasn't supportive of the vision? I ain't talking about the circle that's a little bit outside, but I'm talking about the close circle.
I tell them that the promise got to be bigger than the pain.
What? Come on, one more time.
The promise got to be bigger than the pain. Because what happens is your promise is that big. If your promise is that large, the pain is worth it. The pain is going to be just a little bit, but the promise got to be bigger than the pain. But see, what happens is that if your promise is not big enough, you let the pain distract you. And then sometimes the pain gets you distracted and you stop before you get to that last part. And like, even take, for instance, like education. Like, for me, to be honest with you, stuff that I get praised for now, I got criticized for when I first started it. There's some really honest to God truth. I mean, one thing I stopped doing, I stopped code switching. And
Well, talk about code switching for people who may not be familiar with that term.
So I quit trying to change my vernacular in different places that I go. So you're going to get 100% Alvin Holloway no matter where you go. So even when I'm in the school, you get a probably tampered down version of Moneyball Alvin Holloway.
Woo! I mean, that's more than enough.
So I walk into the school, I'm going to see my kid, I'm going to say, yo, what up? And he going to get a dap. Might not get no dap in the fall, but before March 13th,
he get a ball.
He get an elbow.
Yeah.
He got a dap and a hug. And it was funny too because I stopped adjusting to other people and found other people adjusting to me and fell in love with who I really was. And so it was my personality. Like I had white parents, black parents, everybody adapted to that. It was like, oh, we love that fact you are genuine you. And so, but when I first started, you know, some of the things I do, like I started this thing, multiplication song called the Multiplication Mixtape.
I like
where
it.
we would rap multiplication songs. 8, 16, 24, 32, 40, 48. And so it was crazy because when I first started doing that, people were like, oh, he bringing his hood stuff to school. Now, let me tell you this. Jalen Thomas, Eric Thomas' son, came to me when he took his ACTs. He was like, Mr. Holloway, I was taking the ACT and I was using your songs. He learned those songs in 4th grade. Now, from 4th grade, he went to Grand Ledge. He went to all these other schools, had all these other math teachers in suburban schools. But he remembered those multiplication songs that I taught him in 4th grade. He remembered those songs that I taught him about how to switch and convert things back and forth while he's taking the ACT. And he's a graduate from Michigan State University.
It's a big test. And he ended up going on to the university, Michigan State. So let me ask you a question about that piece, about that transition to accepting and promoting your authentic self. Was there a series of events, but what was the tipping point? And I say this for people who may be struggling with that based on where they are. What was the tipping point for you to say, you know what, they're going to have to just accept me for me, you know? Can you think back to that moment? Or
I mean, because after a while, well, there's two things that happened. My first day of teaching. I came in the classroom and I was like, hey, boys and girls, buddy, my friends. And if you that type of person, I'm not knocking a person who teaches like that. That's them. That's their real authentic personality. And the kids, I was in Houston, Texas. I've taught in a gamut of places. I was in Houston, Texas. And they looking at me like, man, we going to have a dud this year. The next day, I came in. I was like, yo, I'm sorry. That dude you had yesterday was not me. I am from Lansing, Michigan. We talk this way. This is how I talk. We're going to roll this way. Ever since then, man, the kids just gravitated towards me. They just felt that connection. Also, too, it's interesting, too, because as I moved up the ladder and I moved into administrator and I moved into sitting in meetings with people who control money and I started talking about fiduciary matters of the school and all this type of stuff, the more I held up tight and talked like other people, the less I got accomplished. When I relaxed and became Alvin Holloway, people gravitated to me more. I got more accomplished. I started moving up quicker just being me than I did being fake.
That led to an increase in your professional development track by you being authentic.
Being authentic. And so I say all that to say that things that people are going to nitpick, things that people are going to hit you, you have to have a vision that's bigger than that. Your goal is bigger than that. You know, I've won national awards for education, back-to-back national awards and been considered one of the top 100 teacher in my corporation. And I teach for a national corporation and been one of the top 100 teachers back-to-back occasions. I mean, so, and it wasn't from me being somebody else because my vision was bigger than that. My mission's bigger than that. And then for me being an educator, I have bigger plans. You know, I mean, people ask me what I think about education, man. I want to change the whole aspect of education. Because kind of go back, one thing COVID really did, COVID really showed us that there's a glitch in the system.
We got exposed.
And it did. It's almost like when I worked for I used to work for Consumer Energy. And interesting thing about working for consumer industry, when you work for an electric company, storms are a really interesting thing, because what storms do, storms help you see where your weaknesses are in the system. And so this storm right here, which is COVID, let us see a lot of weaknesses in systems. I mean, our economic system, our healthcare system, and the education system, because when you were looking at it, we really got a chance to figure out that, man, there are some disproportional things in education. Because once we sent everybody home, you know, people were like, you know, a kid in Okemos and a kid in East Detroit had two different experiences during COVID.
Yeah, I agree. Internet access or lack thereof, support system, or even to show you where the parents were and their ability. You know, you used to think that it was your teachers tripping, but it was really Johnny and Susie who was clowning in the class. Yeah. You see that now with them being home with you.
And it's interesting too, because like they were talking about computers, and everybody should have a computer. That's simple. But what if I got 5 kids? Do I have a computer for each one of my 5 kids?
And what? And the status of your internet, you know, because if you on Netflix and somebody on a computer, you got sole internet service, you know, or do I pay the internet bill or the light bill, you know? And should the internet be free? Let's talk about that part.
Thank you.
So many things. Sitting here with Alvin Holloway, outstanding educator, you know, communicator, artist in the sense of putting his vision and value out there. Alvin, you said a number of things just in this short time that can really be helpful. But with the time that we have, I like to try to keep these great conversations concise so people can look at the time and be like, oh, okay, I'll check that out, and they can get the full story. So as we try to wrap it down a little bit, what are some things you can just say, man, that can just be inspiring to these young people as they get ready to get back into school? Because everybody's talking about how it affects them, but no one's really talking about the kids, if you ask me. What can you say to your future students, past students, or just any young person taking their next steps in education now?
I mean, my future thing is, I always say to everybody, nobody's going to invest in you as much as you invest in yourself.
Say that.
You know, you your biggest investor, and your life is an investment. And, you know, and the thing about it too, no one's going to invest in a company that they're going to go bankrupt. And so if I see that you got a bankrupt vision and you don't believe in the vision, I'm not going to put $5 million in a vision you don't believe in.
But hold on, man. You my homeboy. You know me. Come on, man. Come on. Look out for me. Come on. If you do that, then I can get on, you know.
Only family put money in the money pit.
And family may not even do it. But you make an excellent point, man. And I know we're talking about young people, but, you know, you look at how you want to get behind somebody, but, you know, it ain't about people jumping on once the train take off, but no one wants to invest in something that they haven't seen you put your work in on. You know what I'm saying? That's just like you coming up and saying, by the way, I paint. And this is like, what you talking about? But I've seen what you've been doing, you know, and I think people miss that. So you say, tell these young people they need to invest in themselves first before they expect somebody else to invest in them.
Exactly. I mean, when you go into school, you have to go into school with a plan. Why are you here? I ask my kids that all the time. Why are you here? Don't tell me because your mother tell you to come here. Don't tell me to make friends, because whatever you go into a school situation to get, you're going to get that out.
Yeah, and I think I see that so much with the young people I deal with. They bring a horrible attitude, and it may have a lot to do with things going on outside of school and in the home. We know that. But to your point, I'll say, man, why you come? Because they made me come. I said, you didn't have to come. My mama, she told you to come. But you could have been like a mule and said, I ain't walking in, or you could have walked in and turned around. But I think that's an excellent question to pose. Now, to stay on top of that, and I'll only challenge you because I know you have the ability to go deeper on this. What about those who may be coming into an educational system that may not be stellar? You know, if the roof is leaking, there's things going on in the classroom, it's just not the stellar educational experience. How do you motivate a young person to still get the most out of that?
You gotta still be hungry. You gotta still be hungry. You gotta every day continue to be hungry. You can't be a lazy lion. I say that all the time. And lazy lions are zoo lions that get fed all the time. Ooh. You know, sometimes you gotta hunt yourself. You know, and so
Mr. Holloway, nobody around me is motivating me. Everybody at my house is not doing anything. You know, how do I mean, you the most positive person I see and talk to, but how do I see beyond Lansing? I haven't had anything to experience beyond this.
self-motivation. That's intrinsic, you know. And you know, and as teachers, we do provide that fire sometimes. You know, we are the ones who provide that fire. And I'll tell you this right here, the social aspect of school, and that's another thing we found out during COVID, that sometimes the social aspect of school is way more important than the actual academic aspect of school.
Yeah, sure.
Some of those academic things you're never going to use. And I'll be honest with that. The cat's out of the bag. As a teacher, I would say that. I mean, there's some things you're going to learn in school. You know, I'm a teacher, and there's no way I need to know anything about Shakespeare right now.
Right.
In my lifestyle.
Right.
You know,
right.
iambic pentameter is nothing going to be something I'm going to need to use later on.
Right.
But it's the motivation, the social part of it.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, yeah, you know, that really teaches us how to go about and be that way. So, Alvin, what I want to do is, as we wrap this up, let's make a plan to get back together, you know, maybe over the holiday break, Christmas break, if it happens in the normal way, just to kind of do a before and after on what we talked about before school started, what may be going on then, because I think you bring an excellent perspective to not only just the educational outlook, but just in life, because you're a real down brother, very well versed, and you're just fun to be around. So let's make a point and we're going to loop back around once things get rolling to kind of do a checkup on how things are going and whatnot. Is that good?
Oh, that's definitely, I'm good. I mean, as long as my schedule is open, you know, you and I have a statement, you know, anything you say, Lindsey Huddleston, I'm going to do it.
I appreciate that, brother. I appreciate that.
When Big Lindsey asks a question, I'm good. You send the text, I'm good with you.
Well, no, brother, the reason why I'm so happy to reach out, because I know you're going to give a thoughtful response. You're going to give an honest response, and it may not be the response everybody want to hear, but it's the response they need to hear. And I think it's important to say that. You ain't going to say it because it sounds good, but you'll be like, bro, I don't know. You're like, I don't know about that one.
I get in some trouble for that, Joe, but sometimes you got to be honest. I'm just too old to be lying.
Yeah, you're right about that. I appreciate that. We got Alvin Holloway here, great brother doing great things. How can people see some of your artwork? How can they find out what you're doing with your art and whatnot, your photography?
Well, right now, most of my things be on Instagram. I have an Instagram, Paragon Images on Instagram. You can follow me on Paragon Images, or you can follow my other Instagram, The Greatness Factory.
Yep.
That's some of my personal things. So I have 2 Instagrams. Working on a website that's building. So that'll be coming out soon.
Okay, we're doing great things. We'll keep supporting you, man. I appreciate you. So with that, we'll take off Lindsey Huddleston, the SPS Mental Health Moment, Alvin Holloway, and you'll be hearing from him as we get back to school to give an update on things and update on sports too. So with that, take care, man. I appreciate you.
All right, thanks, Lindsey.
Okay.